everybody! Today we are back at Lillian Osborne High School in Edmonton and we are making butter chicken. Now this is my take on butter chicken and we'll talk about some things that are authentic and some things that are not authentic. However, my coworkers, Ms. Nestrovich and Mr. Dawson are with me and I need Mr. Dawson to tell everyone what he says about my butter chicken.
It's pretty good.
Thank you. And didn't you make a big change in your life? Weren't you like, this is the butter chicken I will make from now on?
Yes, so I started, I took your recipe and I made it basically just more spicy. And I do it a little bit differently, but it's still your recipe that I use for my butter chicken and my butter paneer if you're vegetarian.
Yeah, perfect. I love that. Thank you so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dice this chicken into chunks. Now, I prefer a chicken breast for this recipe, and I'll tell you why. This is not a butter chicken made with fat-free yogurt or fat-free sour cream. This butter chicken is made with butter and whipping cream. So for me, that's fatty enough. I'm going to choose the leanest piece of meat that I can, which is chicken breast. So I'm going to cube these. They don't need to be perfect, just like 1-inch cubes is super great. I'm going to bake them. Now, when I learned this recipe and this method, this changed everything for me. It made it so simple. I liked being able to concentrate on what was happening in the pan without worrying about the chicken. If you were to do this with a paneer, what I would do is I would give the paneer a quick saute in a little bit of fat in a hot pan, just to kind of get those sides nice and crispy. And my husband was craving, he wanted paneer, so I mixed the two the other day and it was really great. Okay, so I'm using 1 pack of chicken breast and this is going to be enough to make about 8 servings. So when you're feeding something heavy like a butter chicken, you're not going to need like 1 chicken breast per person like you would get at, if you're ordering a chicken breast dinner or whatever. And the reason why is because, again, that sauce is really heavy, really filling, really calorie dense. Okay, so I've got my chicken breast on my baking pan here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my chicken contaminated stuff over to the side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to toss it in a bit of oil. I'm using canola oil. If you have olive oil, that's great. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. All of that, just kidding, not all of that. A little bit of salt.
Did you just put some behind your shoulder?
Yes, I did. A little bit of pepper. And then the first spice I'm going to add is tandoori masala. Okay, so this you can buy at Superstore in the ethnic aisle, and it's a Siraj spice. I think you know what I'm talking about. They've got the blue and orange labels.
Yellow.
This is blue and yellow labels. This is a mixture of a variety of spices. This is not the original container, so I can't tell you. But if you were to go to the Spice Bazaar in Mill Woods and you were to ask for tandoori masala, they might look at you like you're crazy. Because authentic Indian cooking is going to take that time to mix those spices together. Am I right, Mr. Dawson? Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I live right near a place called Fruticana, which a lot of you might know. It's like an Indian shop, and they do sell a tandoori masala mix that I use at home, and I like it better than the Siraj one. Maybe I'll send you a picture and you can post it. But yeah, tandoori masala, otherwise it's like garam masala, cayenne, the Indian chili powder, ginger, and onion and garlic.
Yeah. So I find for me, this is really convenient. I've got a couple different spices in my cabinet that I can make butter chicken with, or if I wanted to do a different type of curry, I wouldn't use the garam masala because to me that's reserved for butter chicken for me. And I'm just gonna toss it. You want the oil in there just to help it kind of coat the chicken. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna pop this into the oven after I wash my hands for about 15 minutes or until I'm ready for it. It's not gonna take very long to cook. And that's why we're taking the time to cut it first, because it's just gonna take 15 moments in the oven.
What temperature is your oven?
375, thank you so much for asking. Just at a cute 375. If you have a roast function on your oven or a convection option on your oven, I would go ahead and use that. Okay, I was watching that Gordon Ramsay video. He keeps the towel here, so do I. Okay, that's how that goes. Okay, pop the chicken into the oven. Now I'm gonna start on my sauce. So I'm gonna use, this is a butter chicken. I'm going to use about half a cup of salt. Oh, you got unsalted.
Listen, you can add salt.
Of butter. Whatever you have on hand is great. If you're using unsalted, make sure that you add some salt to the recipe. I'm gonna start my recipe on about medium heat here. And now I am going to chop my onion. So what I learned about Indian cooking in my, thank you. What I've learned about Indian cooking is that a lot of the sauce base is onion based, and that's where a lot of the flavor comes from. Oh, look at that sharp knife. Just kidding. Maybe your knife will be sharper than mine. So the onion is going to add a lot of the flavor. I'm going to keep the root on it until I have it chopped. Just a rough chop because we are going to use the immersion blender on our sauce. Okay. So as I'm chopping this, I'm not worried about perfection. I'm just gonna take that little root out now. I'm gonna increase the heat a little bit to 6, get my butter melting. You could use a margarine with this. I wouldn't. If you got the butter, I would use it. Yeah?
Yeah.
This is butter chicken. Okay.
Butter is better.
The other vegetarian option I've made of this are butter chickpeas. So I've just like made the sauce the exact same way, drained a can of chickpeas and added those in. Now, when we're talking about like plant-based options, you could use a coconut milk, you could use a coconut cream, but that would be about the extent of what I would do. I wouldn't use an almond milk. I don't think that there's anything else that's fatty enough except for the coconut. But then you're having a different flavor. You're not really getting the butter chicken, you're getting like a coconut curry chicken, which also good. Okay. So I'm gonna get those onions sauteing. I want them nice and transparent. I want them getting nice and fragrant. Is this the hard to peel garlic, Sarah?
Is it the garlic from last week?
Yeah.
Then it is.
We were making the fettuccine Alfredo and I couldn't peel the garlic to save my life. And I think we're gonna have the same situation today. But you know what? It's just for entertainment purposes for our watchers. Like, look at this. Why does it do this, Mr. Dawson?
This is why I buy jarred garlic, or as I call it, jarlic.
Ew.
I know.
Jarred garlic?
right?
Ew.
It's pre-chopped. You get it at Costco. It's just from California.
From California.
It's from California. I love it.
We're panning away from that.
Do you really? Oh, from my disaster?
No,
from
from-
that?
From me.
From him.
From my jarlic.
From his
From my
garlic.
jarlic.
What
I get
call-
mad when the students buy it. I cut the wrong end off. Cut the little end off there. I want some heat on my onions here. I want to hear that sizzle. If I were better at this, have the pan sizzling before I threw them in. But I want them to caramelize a little bit. I don't want them to burn. I want them to be nice and caramelized. I'm gonna take 4 cloves of garlic, cut the end off, smash, peel. Now, again, because we're doing a blend, just run your knife through. You don't need to mince it. It doesn't need to be perfect because we're going to blend it, okay? Now, butter, you need to pay attention to it because butter it burns faster than olive oil. If you wanted to reduce the temperature at which butter burns, you can mix the two, add a little bit of olive oil to it. I don't because I want my butter chicken. I just put some garlic peel in there. It's okay, we're gonna blend it up. Okay, I can get rid of this now. I keep the wet rag under my cutting board because it reduces the amount of slipping that happens. So that's all I'm going to be doing for vegetables. So for butter chicken, I actually serve it with rice or I serve it with cauliflower rice, which I actually have come to not mind because, again, this is so heavy and it doesn't really have a vegetable other than the onion. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of salt and pepper. Probably about half a teaspoon there. A little bit of pepper. And now I'm going to add my next spice. So I'm going to add garam masala. Garam masala is another one of this Indian spices that you can buy in Superstore in the like Siraj spices, or you can go to the Spice Bazaar. buy garam masala. But what I have learned in my cooking days is that, for instance, like the Indian chili powder is not the clubhouse chili powder, okay? Like, I have learned that the very, very hard way. And this Ukrainian here can only handle a splash of the heat. So when I make this, the garam masala is not spicy, okay? The tandoori, I mean, we put it on the chicken, but I don't find it makes the garam masala, or it makes the butter chicken spicy at all. If you want to add heat, you're going to have your garam masala and you're going to have cayenne pepper. I am not adding any today because I'm going to bring this home and hopefully my children will eat it, okay? Like, we just pray. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So for the garam masala, I'm going to do a good amount, 2-3 tablespoons. And now, yes, and now you can smell the cinnamon, the other spices, and this, my friends, this is the butter chicken flavor. So when you're going to Superstore, and to be honest with you, I haven't really looked at do other places have garam masala besides Superstore? Like a Sobeys?
Maybe in the ethnic aisle, but
Yeah.
either the Superstore or the like specialty.
Or the Indian market. So definitely take a look. The big bag of garam masala is only a few dollars. It's lasted me a year or two in my pantry, and we make butter chicken fairly regularly. So they're really reasonably priced. So make sure you pick those up. Give your onions a little bit of a toss. So now we're cooking them. We're cooking the onions with the garam masala. We have completely changed the smell that's coming out of here. Okay, it smells absolutely beautiful. Okay. Now we're going to add a can of tomato sauce. I've seen some recipes that use diced tomatoes. I like the tomato sauce. I like the consistency of it. I know, do you use tomato sauce or diced?
I use tomato sauce.
Do you?
I prefer it because you can do the diced tomatoes and you can blend it, but it doesn't end up with the same texture.
Right.
But then I've also had students get mad at me because it's not authentic using just the tomato sauce, and I'm like, well, look at me.
I know. Okay, I do my best. I do my best. So the other thing is like, I have a story to tell. So Food 30 a few years ago, was before I had the kids, so like 2014, I think. I was taking my Food 30 class at the Ronald McDonald House, and we tried recipes all semester, getting ready to go to the Ronald McDonald House and make dinner for the Meals at Men program. And there's a chef that works there, and I'm just letting my onions soften up a little bit because I want them to be a little bit less hard. And so we decided on making butter chicken. And we made this recipe, we made lots of rice, it was really beautiful, and nobody ate it. Because what I didn't realize is a lot of people who stay at the Ronald McDonald House are from small towns, and they didn't know what it was, and they were nervous that it was spicy. There was so much left over. And the chef the next day, this is what he said. He was like, yeah, there was a lot left over. That was delicious. It was restaurant quality, and no one ate it. So this is my butter chicken level. You're welcome. And it reminds me of the butter chicken at Shani Punjab on 34th Ave, formerly known as Arby's. So you'll recognize it by like the solarium. One of my favorite Indian restaurants. Okay, I'm gonna add the entire can of butter chicken, or pardon me, tomato sauce. If you wanted a lean butter chicken, this is where you could change up what goes in here next. So you see that color, you see how the garam masala has kind of made the tomato sauce a little bit browner, so it's going to be less red. So you're taking it from looking like a rosé sauce or like a classic tomato sauce to a butter chicken and an Indian sauce. So if you wanted to change, like I said, the fat content of this recipe, this is where you could add your like half and half, or your low-fat yogurt, or your low-fat sour cream. If you know me, you know that I do not play by those rules, and I'm gonna add the real deal. Okay, so half a cup of recipe. The original kind of idea where I got this recipe from had much more butter than I put, so I have at least reduced that. So we're going to add whipping cream. So I'm going to add approximately 2 cups. And now I'm gonna let it simmer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to incorporate all of this cream into the tomato sauce mixture, and I'm going to let it simmer. What I'm simmering it for is I want those onions to soften up a little bit more. I want those flavors to marry a bit. Once those onions soften, I'm going to take my chicken out of the oven and I'm going to add it to the blended sauce. Okay, and that'll be my butter chicken. Then you're ready to go, served on rice. So in my home, it takes me 15 minutes to get a butter chicken blended, simmering on the pot, cook the rice, and then in half an hour, I've got a homemade butter chicken ready to go. So we'll touch back once the chicken comes out of the oven, and I'll show you how to blend the sauce, and then we'll go from there. See you in a few minutes. Hi everyone, welcome back. Okay, my chicken has come out of the oven. It was in there for about 15 minutes. If you're worried about the doneness, just find the biggest piece. Take a butter knife or something through it and just make sure that it's cooked all the way through. Looks great. I'm usually pretty confident after 15 minutes that it's done. A couple of these big pieces you can break up a bit if you feel like you need to. Now for my butter chicken sauce, I am going to blend it. So I'm going to take a spoon out of here, and the deeper the pot, the safer the immersion blending is, okay? So you need to make sure that this open part of the immersion blender is submersed into whatever liquid you're doing. So I'm going to tip my pot before I hit it with the power. And the reason why is because I don't want it to splash anywhere. And I'm just dragging the onions to the bottom here, and I make sure I try and blend as best as I can. If you don't have an immersion blender but you have a blender, you can put the sauce in it. It's just like, it's not my favorite thing because I'm always scared that I'm gonna have like burnt butter chicken sauce in my face, or like, and that'll be it. That'll be the end of me. So I like the immersion blender because then I'm not like transferring a hot soup or a hot sauce or whatever into the blender and then blending, creating a vacuum and transferring it back. I talked in my tomato soup video, if you don't have an immersion blender, I would always recommend getting one for your kitchens. You can get one at Canadian Tire. They always go half price, never pay full price at Canadian Tire. Get a Cuisinart one or a KitchenAid one. Those ones have been really good for me in the classroom and at home. So once I'm happy with the pureness of my butter chicken sauce, I know that there's a couple little onions floating around here and there. But listen, I got bigger things to worry about right now, so whatever, I think they're fine. Give it a quick little buzz, but that's how you make a butter chicken sauce. You've got to puree those onions, make it become part of like the creamy sauce, and then you've got that really beautiful butter chicken sauce there. Now I'm gonna add my chicken back in. Okay, this just came fresh out of the oven, so I'm going to try not to touch it with my bare hands. I'm going to bring my chicken close to the sauce, add it in. Okay, stir it in there. Now you can let this sit on the stove on low heat. Remember that you've got heavy cream in there, so it is going to reduce a little bit. If you keep cooking and cooking. The longer though it kind of sits, the flavors marry, they look really great, or they taste really great. This also is really great the next day, so those flavors have a lot of time to like develop, and they're super delicious. And I've never had a butter chicken cream or butter chicken sauce that is separated. Unlike a fettuccine or like a fettuccine Alfredo, this is always like withstood the overnight test. I feel like it's because of the acidity in the tomatoes. Yeah? Mr. Dawson? He doesn't know, we don't know. I'm guessing it's because of the acidity in the tomato sauce that prevents the separation of the fat. Okay, I'm gonna give it a taste. I was touching the chicken with that. Make sure that I'm not missing anything. I am gonna put actually a little bit more garam masala in it and a little bit more salt. And mine doesn't have any fire because my kids don't like anything. So I would probably add a little pinch of cayenne pepper just to get on that heat a little bit more. Right?
I had a lot of cayenne pepper in mine.
Yeah, I know, right? And I can't add any because I'll put this down, and if they're like feeling picky that day, or they're like, I want pasta, which they do every day, they'll be like, supper is yucky. And then I say to them, this is restaurant quality. you're gonna eat it and you're gonna like it. Okay, I'm just gonna let it sit there. My butter chicken is done. Serve it over rice. You can make basmati rice, you can make whatever kind of rice that you want, cauliflower rice, or you can just kind of eat it as it is. If you're doing like a low carb thing, do not put this on like grated zucchini. It will not be good. The cauliflower rice will be best, and sauteed in a pan just to like fry it up and get rid of some of that liquid. Okay, I hope you enjoyed my butter chicken. I'll post the recipe in the comments below. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.